Hi, welcome to Abs Day. Today we're going to do a series that doesn't need any equipment, so you can really take it anywhere. You can do it in your living room, on a carpet, on a mat, on a towel. You can even do it in a hotel room. I did this series once before a friend's wedding, and it was an excellent way to get ready for a nice evening. So we are going to start lying on our backs on our mat. And during this series, you're going to keep one leg placed firmly on the ground to allow you to help stabilize your pelvis and lower spine. I always like to do as much of my ab work in a neutral pelvis as possible. And so for those of you who don't know, the neutral pelvis is going to be the two hip bones and pubic bone trying to be on the same plane parallel to the ceiling. And you're going to have a little bit of space in your lumbar spine. That's going to be fine, but you're trying to keep your ribs down on the mat as well. So I don't want any arching through the chest, and I don't want any curling through the spine. So from here, what I am looking for initially is a movement of the upper leg bone in the pelvis to allow you to use your abs to stabilize the pelvis as the leg moves. So we're just going to warm up with some single leg slides. I'm going to have my hands on my hip bones here so I can tell if I'm doing any movement as that leg goes out. Try to make sure your collarbones are nice and wide. Take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, flatten the lower belly and just slide the leg along the mat. Inhale, bring the leg in. And exhale, flatten the abs as you slide the leg along the mat. I don't need the leg to straighten all the way down here. What I'm trying to do is just really start feeling that upper leg or femur moving in the socket without allowing the back to arch as it goes. So this entire series is built around one leg moving in the socket and the abs maintaining control of the pelvis. And we're going to go ahead and switch legs. Inhale, exhale, flatten the belly as you slide the other leg out along the mat. And inhale, bring it back in. And I know it looks like I'm not doing much here, but I really am starting to feel these lower abs fire. I hope you are too. Just put a lot of focus there, really keeping any of this arching from happening. Two more. As we're doing the extensions, we're just playing around with feeling where those hip bones are. Good. And we're going to go back to the first side. So as I said, we are going to keep one leg planted at all times during this series. So I am going to keep my right leg planted and bring my left leg up into tabletop here. Tabletop for me is 90 degrees at the hip, 90 degrees at the knee, and you want to keep the hips square here. So through this entire series, as you start curling, as you start getting tired, as you start bringing your knee in, don't shorten the space between the rib and the hip on the leg that is up. So I'm going to set myself up, same distance between the bottom tips of the ribs and the top of the hip bones. Leg is trying to stay nice and set over the pelvis. I'm going to bring my hands behind my head, elbows wide here, and so you should still be able to see them in your peripheral and keep your shoulder blades and ribs down. You don't want to actually flatten them, elbows on the mat, and pop the ribs out. I'm just going to do some easy curls in the center. So inhale, exhale, still flattening those lower abs, close the ribs, and you're curling sternum to ceiling. Inhale, lengthen back down. Exhale, flatten the lower abs, close the ribs to curl up. My trajectory here is curling up towards the ceiling, not forward towards my leg. And the reason that's happening is I'm moving from the abs, pulling the ribs towards the pelvis. I'm not moving from my neck. And we're going to stay curled up on the next one. We're going to try to do a hip hinge. So keep the knee at that 90-degree angle, and you're only letting the leg move in the socket and back up. So I'm doing the best I can to stabilize my spine with my abs, and I'm just letting that leg drop towards the ground. And I'm using my abs to control everything else. Try to stay out of your quads, out of your hip flexors, so that front line of the leg isn't doing the work, the lower abs are. And we're gonna go into a single leg extension. Exhale as you extend. Inhale as you bring the knee in. You're just bringing it back into that 90-degree angle. You're trying to not bring it all the way in and ruin that pelvis. Really keep the ribs closed, keep the abs tight, and keep that pelvis stable. And as I mentioned before, this stabilizing leg is just giving you a little extra support so that you don't have to worry about the lower back arching and hurting, but you're trying to still maintain. We have one more here, and then we're going to lift that leg to the ceiling. You're trying to still maintain the abdominal engagement. So you're going to externally rotate that leg to stay out of those hip flexors. Exhale as the leg goes down. Inhale as the leg lifts up. So as you're doing this, you're keeping the leg in a range that you're not getting any hip clicks, and you're not letting the back arch or the pelvis move. So I don't need the leg to get all the way to the ground. I don't need the leg to get all the way to the ceiling. I'm really trying to keep you in a range where you're moving the leg in the socket, stabilizing the pelvis with the abs. If you don't have the hamstring flexibility to keep that leg straight, you can do this in a long diamond shape. Last one. Good. Lower the chest, lower the leg. We are going to do all of those on the other side. So go ahead and pick your other leg up. 90 degree at the hip, 90 degree at the knee. You can see this from the other side where the leg is stabilizing. I, again, am always reaching long out the hip, bottom of the hip of the leg that's up. Same distance between the ribs and the hips on both sides. On the exhale, I close the ribs and curl straight up to center. And back down. And exhale to curl up. And down. And 3. 4. And even though you have one leg down, you're still getting a lot of ab work, and it gives you the confidence to be able to focus on where you're moving from and not just struggling to get through the whole series. Stay up on this next one, and we're doing that hinge in the socket. So exhale as the leg drops, inhale as the leg comes up. Stay closing the ribs, stay curled up with those abs. My hands are supporting my head here. I'm not pulling. I'm always trying to think of reaching long down the side where the leg is moving. And we're going to go into those single leg extensions. It's the same thing as the other side. Extend that leg out and bring it in 90 degree angle. So try not to bring the leg into the chest. Try not to hike the hip up. Two more in this position, and then we are going to switch to that lift and lower. So extend that leg. From there, try to externally rotate that leg in the socket if you can. It'll keep you out of those hip flexors. Inhale, the leg comes up. Exhale, lengthen out as the leg goes down. Inhale up, and exhale down. And again, if your hamstrings are tight, you can do a long diamond here as you go up and down. The goal is that you're not bending and straightening the knee as you go, and it's going to be a little bit longer than that first drop we did. So I'm going to go back to fully extended. Still trying to connect those ribs, even though it's getting a little bit more challenging. We're going to do one more here. And bend that knee in and lower down. Great. So that was the first half of the series. We're going to go into rotations for the next half. And it's following the same pattern line of knee and tabletop, single leg drop, single leg extension, straight leg drop. And we're just adding that chest rotation. We are also lowering the chest as we go down with the leg and then rotating towards the knee as it comes up. So the first one, you're gonna bring that first leg back into your tabletop. The first one, we're just gonna do simple rotations. So exhale, up and rotate, and inhale back down. And as we're rotating, I want you to think of trying to lift the bottom side of the armpit and back down. And you're reaching around from the rib cage. What I don't want is you just rolling over onto the armpit or reaching across with that elbow. That's actually not doing much for your obliques, believe it or not. Now, from this position, you're gonna drop the toes towards the ground, knee stays bent as you lower the torso, and then curl up and rotate towards that knee. And all of those rules from the first time around still apply. So as you're doing this, you're trying to keep the pelvis square. You're trying to move the leg in the socket, not the lower back. And you're trying to keep the same distance between the ribs and the hips on both sides. And we're going into that single leg extension. Extend the leg out as you lower in the center, curl up and rotate towards that knee. Keep breathing if you can. It's very important, both to life and Pilates. One more here, and then we're gonna do that leg straight up and down. So go ahead and bring that leg up, externally rotate it, and you're gonna curl up and rotate towards that leg. And then as you lower to the center, straight leg lowers, straight leg lifts. This is our last position on this side, and then we get to switch to the other side. I know it's burning, you guys. Two more. And then we're gonna come back down, take a moment. Whew, I definitely felt my right oblique there. Hopefully you did too. Okay, so other side. Starting with the other leg in tabletop, square off those hips, find your neutral pelvis, ribs are closed, shoulders are down, and we're just gonna start with the simple rotations towards the knee first. So make sure you're getting the ribs up and around and back down. And so again, we're not leading from the elbow, so I don't want to see this. And we're not rolling just onto the ribs. Everything's trying to stay stable in the pelvis. Rib cage goes up and around. Last one here. As you lower in the center, you're lowering the toe towards the ground. Knee stays bent 90 degrees. And up and rotate. And lengthen down the center, and up and rotate. Keep breathing. Keep long through the top of the head, long out the tailbone. One more here, and then we go into that extension. As you lower down, single leg extension. As you come up, leg comes just to the tabletop. Try not to bring it too close to the chest. Lengthen out and down and really wring out those abs to the side. Lift and twist. Hopefully you are not feeling any quad or hip flexor. Hopefully you're using those lower abs to control the leg. Two more here, and then we're gonna do that lift and lower. So again, we're gonna try to do the straight leg. If you can't do the straight leg, you can have that long diamond. So I'm gonna have my legs straight, and I am going to lengthen that leg down. As I bring the leg up, rotate towards that leg coming up, and back down. And as you're doing the straight leg lifts, you wanna make sure your tailbone stays on the mat. So you're not lifting the booty off the mat to make it look like your leg is going higher. That's just compromising that lower back. And this whole thing was about having that stabilizing leg down to help you protect that lower back. So we don't want to do anything to compromise it. 2 more. And last one. Whew. Okay, so now both sides of my obliques are nice and tired. We're going to finish this out with just a set of curls in the center with both feet down, just to recenter ourselves, because we just did a lot of single-sided stuff. We got stabilizing obliques, rotational obliques. So to recenter, both feet on the mat, knees bent, feet about hip-width apart, hands behind the head, elbows wide, anchor those shoulders, tailbone nice and heavy, flatten those abs, close the ribs and curl up, and inhale, lengthen down. Try to feel here that you can use both sides of those obliques evenly. And we have 2 more. And last one. Good. Just pick both knees up, hug your knees into the chest. They don't need to be tight, close together. If that feels good for your body, that is fine. I prefer to have my knees a little bit wide, and I just gently rock side to side here. I love that series because it does not get into my lower back at all, but I still just like to do a little bit of this lower back release at the end of it. Good. And come sitting up. And we just did a lot of oblique work and curling. So I'm just gonna have you sitting, put your hands on your knees, draw your shoulder blades down, abs tight, and lift your sternums up to the ceiling. And return to center. Deep breath in, and again, exhale, press into your knees, shoulder blades pull down the back, lift that sternum to ceiling. A little bit of length and extension in your spine. And that feels really good, so I'm gonna just do one more. And just join me in this last one, lengthening to the ceiling. Make sure it's happening from the sternum lifting and not the head going back. We don't want to make that neck all crunchy. And back to center. Well, that was a fun ab workout. Have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye.